Hi guys, I've been saying for some time that Rishi Sunak would like to have an election in January next year, but perhaps pressure has been applied to him to call one earlier to save a few Tories their seats. Now the rhetoric at PMQs was definitely that of election mode, talking absolute tripe about how great the economy is and how Labour would threaten it. Right-wing headbanger and one of the members of the extreme elements of the Conservative Party, Kruger, made a bit of a fool of himself in the House of Commons when he claimed that everything was back to normal regarding the economy and a vote for Labour would undo all that good. Sunak pumped the same ridiculous line, but the experts have something else to say.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 1997, the public voted in what they were told would be a sort of continuity Conservative government, the same policies, just with different faces. Instead, what they got was record immigration, constitutional vandalism, and a broken economy. Does the Prime Minister agree that with the economy now roaring back to life under a Conservative government, the last thing we need is a return to the failed Labour recipe of high taxes, open borders, and employment laws that destroy jobs?
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend gives a superb and passionate economic diagnosis, and he's right. Inflation is now back to normal, and indeed lower than France, Germany, the United States, at its lowest level in years. Our economy...
Okay, so everything's great. Nothing to worry about. Things are back to normal. Don't vote for the Labour Party because they would upset that great achievement. But, as I said, the experts have something else to say. This is Ed Conway from Sky News, who has been right about pretty much everything. But it's not so much that he's right, he's just looking at the data from the ONS itself.
Okay, so this is the level of prices. You can see it goes up and up and up. And with levels of prices, they just do tend to kind of go up and up, and I'm afraid. But here's the thing, okay? That's the cost of living crisis. Suddenly, we went up from prices being around there to prices being there. And you don't really see that in this data, okay? Because inflation is really just measuring the difference between that and that. And if you look at those two lines, you're talking about a 2.3% change. That's the number we're talking about today. But for a lot of people, it's not about that. It's about the difference between this and that. And when you look at the...
Or between this, as was pointed out here, and when the Tories took over in 2010. We don't even have data going back to 2010 here. It goes back to 2014. But you can see, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. From 2016 on, what happened in 2016, you can see how the cost of living has gone through the roof. This is the real graph to be looking at, not at what the Tories have been saying. Look, we brought inflation down. We have brought inflation down, which is quite convenient also that Rishi Sunak, when inflation was running at 10%, 11%, he was saying nothing to do with me, nothing to do with our government. It's external factors. Now that inflation has come down, but as you can see, prices are still rising, they're doing a victory lap. There you heard Kruger saying, everything's great. Don't upset that. Don't upset that by voting for the Labour Party. Now, what they're trying to do, of course, is to hoodwink people, is to trick people into thinking that everything is better now. As you can see, prices have gone through the roof. The cost of living has gone through the roof. And I don't think this attempt by the Tories is actually going to work. Because I keep saying politics is about perception. Are people's lives improving? No, they're not. When they go into the supermarket, they see everything much more expensive than last year, than the year before, than the year before that. And this graph points it out here. Rents are higher, mortgages are higher, everything is more expensive. But they're also seeing the impact of that on the high street. High street shops closing, businesses closing, all of these problems. So while Rishi Sunak and his Chancellor and his crazy MPs will try to spin it as this is success, the real feeling of people is going to be the complete opposite. And I think when the election, whenever it's called, it's going to be a bit of a thumping, because you can only trick people for so long. You can trick them with gimmicks like stopping the boats and Rwanda and all sorts of other culture wars and stuff like that. But the real feeling people have is the cost of living crisis, and nothing is improving. Things are getting worse. And they're going to vote based on that at the general election. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.